What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, hit the bell notification, get notified of all the latest material that we drop, the latest blogs that we drop. You'll be the first to know. Just put that thing on all, and that's where you get. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Recently, there's been a lot of outlets. I think IFL TV, Boxing Social. They're just to name a few that have put out this interview, not with them specifically, but with a what sounds like kind of a Deontay Wilder sort of fan channel, or somebody who's definitely a big fan of him, a guy from over there in America. And the guy, it was quite, I would say overall quite positive in what they were talking about. Some of it still has elements of delusion to it because he was he was still asking. I don't know if this is the whole interview itself. It's like what about a sort of 12-minute interview that they sort of that has been put up at least. And in this thing, they start by speaking about Tyson Fury and how whether Deontay Wilder feels that he won, although it was called a draw. Does he feel he won the fight? And does he think a draw was okay? And that's like the first question this guy asked him. And I don't know. I find it a little bit of a weird line of questioning because that fight is old news, and they fought again, and Deontay Wilder got knocked out when they fought again. So I think talking about a fight that was scored a draw and still hashing over things is a bit of a weird one. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but the guy seemed to want to sort of stroke Deontay Wilder's ego in a way, because he goes, "Yeah, you knocked him out cold, blah blah blah," and then Wilder goes on to say, "Yeah, and Jack Reese gave him extra time. He was giving Fury extra time to recover because he thought that was necessary. That was what he needed." And I mean, he goes. One thing he said that was true is that he's seen referees where a shot like that lands, and he's seen Jack Reese just wave it off, and he's right about that one. I'll give him that one. That yes, in many fights, had the same thing happened, basically that would have been waved off. And to be brutally honest, it's one of those where you couldn't, it is such a decision that you couldn't even disagree if because I thought it was over. Most people thought it was over. I think Fury's own trainer did think it was over at that point when he got knocked down on the canvas, and he was flat on his back and everything. It did for all intents and purposes appear to be over. So in a certain sense, I would not disagree with the referee just stopping the fight there. um, but the fact of the matter is that's not what happened, and you can't change the fact that he actually got up, he beat the count. Um, some people, I think they were saying, slow count, but many people said that in the past. But with the 10 count, it's not an exact science. It's just the referee counting to 10. So it's not perfect like how I'm recording myself now, and it's digital, and the camera's just counting down or counting up or whatever, and it's all done like that. Boom, 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 boom. It's not perfect like that. When you get a knockdown in a fight, it's the referee counting. It's a human being counting, so it's not going to be the perfect 10 that you would get from a machine. So that's why it seems like for Tyson and Douglas, Tyson was saying, it was 13 seconds. And it could well be 13 seconds when he knocked down Douglas. But again, it's because it's a human being doing it. It's a human. It's not done by some automatic digital clock that counts it down. No, it's a referee doing it, 1 to 10. He's counting. So yeah, Wilder was saying about that and talking highly of himself, that yeah, I knocked him out. I knocked him out cold, but the referee gave him more time. So I mean, it's one of them things where it wasn't really much of an objective interview. The positive things though out of it were that he also said the guy asked him, the main meat of the interview, he asked him, oh, so who would you like to fight? Because Deontay Wilder said, I'm not done with boxing, but I have a life outside of boxing. I have other things, and boxing is not my only source of income, so I'm doing good. He talked about how he's seen so many great fighters who have come through and then they end up broke and they've got nothing to show for it. And in that sense, yes, I like what he said there, because it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, you do want something to show for it for your career as a boxer. You don't want to go through there and put in the hard work and the hard grind and then end up broke. You don't want to end up broke. And there's too many examples, as he said correctly, of boxers just fighting and making great careers and doing their best and then coming out of it broke, retiring broke. So yeah, there's too many examples of that. I would agree with him there that importantly, you need something to show for it. So he said that was a good positive point. He didn't say anybody's names who he wants to fight, but the guy sort of pushed him and said, right, two names that's been mentioned is Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. And Deontay Wilder was just like, well, whoever's at the top, that's who I want. Whoever's he did. I don't know if he said whoever's got the belts, but he was saying like whoever I got to fight to be at the top, that's who I want to fight. And that was kind of the positive note of the interview, that he at least has come out and said. It's all kind of cryptic some ways, the way that he talks, but yeah, he come out and said, I want to fight whoever's at the top and whoever I can get to sort of be the man and blah blah blah. So it seems like, at least according to this interview, there is at least a chance of Deontay Wilder coming back. I myself, I'm not 100% convinced of him coming back. Said in my previous video, we may have seen the last of him. I hope he does come back, but again, I'm not 100% convinced. I think, especially the fact that he's not really. I think two things stick out for me. The fact that he still kind of dwells on things like Tyson Fury being given more time and Tyson Fury allegedly cheating or whatever. I think the fact that he still dwells on those things that, those claims that don't really have much evidence behind them, I think that indicates to me that this might just be talk. My hope is, in an ideal world, I'd love to see Deontay Wilder come back, because I think he's an explosive addition to the heavyweight division. He's a guy that you'd have to give a chance of beating guys. I mean, he might. I think he'd struggle against the top guys. I think he'd struggle against an Anthony Joshua, anyone like that. Because at the end of the day, he's quite technically vulnerable and he's technically quite flawed. So I think he would struggle there in certain top fights. But I think he's a guy that you could never write off completely, because he possesses one punch KO power. So with what he possesses, I think he'd be a good addition to come back to the heavyweight division. I think for me, I do want to see him come back, but I'm not 100% sure that we will see him back. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you think he is going to come back to boxing? Do you think he will fight a guy like Andy Ruiz or someone like that, and take a comeback fight like that, or do you reckon he's just going to stay away from it all? Let me know your thoughts, and until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. Catch you on the next one.